So let's get started and let's get back to activity on the node. We're going to walk you all the way through this, and then tonight I have some homework for you from the textbook to go practice with. Okay. And stuff in the book is a little easier to do than with this big one we're doing. But if you can do this big one by the time we get done, the other one should be as simple as adding and subtracting, as long as you know what you're doing. If you don't know, stop and ask lots of questions today. Okay, Matt? Right. That's just to make you move from behind your screen. The diagram I'm using actually Matt created, so I'm giving him credit for it. Saved me the effort of doing this one out. Although Matt, I did catch a mistake. S follows T, believe it or not. But we'll get there. Nothing major, just when I was doing it last night, it didn't work out. So I want to go into the book, and if you haven't, the book is on reserve. The librarians finally called over and said, thank you for giving us your book. It's like, yeah, have a nice day. Shut up. Just put it out there where the students can use it. Those being really nice. So see Joe, the librarian. We got a librarian named Joe, Ben, and what's the woman? But just go to help desk or the front desk and tell me looking for the project management book for my class. And they'll let you have it. You can't leave the library, but you can definitely sit down and read it. So go do that. But there are some good things in the book, and explaining forward paths and backward paths, I'm going to use the diagram in the textbook. Now there are PowerPoints for this, but I kept looking at the PowerPoints yesterday and it's like, they make no sense. The guy's trying to explain something, but it doesn't come out as nicely as the text in the book. So I will get those. Well, I think they're up in bright space for you. But if you look at it, when we start over here, our very first start is 0, our early start. So you can't start any sooner than 0. Okay? Can't say -1. That means you got on the site sooner than you planned. If you did, your whole schedule just backs up a week. Okay? Well, in this case, we have an early finish of 5. Okay? So we think we can do this a little different than we can. I wouldn't have filled that in yet, but he did. Or yeah, he did. When we do this, we take a look at early start plus the duration gives us the late start. Okay? So LS for this one happens to be what? Hang on. 5. Okay? Now 5 gets carried forward to those next 3 activities. So that's why it's important to know what is the predecessor to an activity, because you go back to that activity to pull that time forward. Okay? So if Kyle finishes something on week 6 and Robert's supposed to start it the next week, he can start as soon as you finish week 6. Okay? So that Friday you could start. Normally you won't start on a Friday night unless you really don't like your employees and you want to pay them overtime. But Monday morning you'll be able to start. So that'd be, he can start after you finish. So he'll start on the end of week 6. In essence, it's really the start of week 7. But mathematically, we're not going to get into that differentiation. So when we get to late start for now, I know what, this chart's different than ours. Oh, you dirty bastard. Sorry, I need to swear. They got late start up in the top instead of down the bottom. Alright. My nuance versus theirs. So late start they haven't figured, but early finish they figured is 5. So that's the duration. 0 plus 5, the duration gives you EF. Okay? It'll make more sense the way I do it, I then it just flows across the page. But whatever the early finish is, that becomes your early start in the next activities. Okay? Ready to follow along? All right. So if we play on the spreadsheet here, and this is something you guys, did everybody get it created? Yes, no, maybe? I know Matt did. But the rest of you, did you get this thing made up?
I haven't finished mine yet, but I'm like, say halfway there.
Okay. Well, you can follow halfway through. Then you'll be halfway lost.
Yeah.
Kind of like tripping at the blue line and letting the puck slide behind you. Okay. So activity A in this particular case has a 0 and has a 0 here because it is the start, which is a dumb way to do business. Okay, I would have started in activity B and said what it was. So activity A has no duration. So therefore its early finish is going to be 0. And that becomes the 0 that I carry over to here. Okay? Now, B has a duration of 4. So this becomes a 4 here. Yeah. Yes, I can. I want to say that, right? Okay. Now, C. Oh, by the way, when I do this, I usually just go through and as I put the letters in, put the durations in. Okay, so I'm doing them kind of out of the order that I would do it in. But you're putting the predecessor in, you're putting the label in for that activity. You might as well put the duration in because you're playing on the same chart as you're going down. Okay. So C has a what for duration? 2. Okay. What is my early start that I can possibly do? Nope. So whatever my early finish was, that becomes my early start. You with me? Yeah. I got a couple yeses. I want nods from everybody, and don't nod because you think I want to nod. Nod because you understand it. If you don't understand it, let me explain it a different way. Right. So all you're doing is passing forward. So you pass the date forward from the last activity when you finished it to the start of the next activity. You with me so far? Okay, I got Cedric nodding. Everybody good? Okay. All right. So literally it becomes a 4. All right. Now the early finish is going to be what? Robert, this is your number. 6. Okay. And mind you, and actually, let me do this too. We'll do this. E start, E finish, late start, late finish. Okay, just so you know what's going on here. All right, so moving forward. Now we get to have some fun. All right, so F is preceded by C. Yes. So what is my early finish up here in this cell? 6. Everybody agree? Anybody disagree? Okay. We have a duration for F that was 1. And that means our early finish is 7, right? Okay. And by the way, sometimes it's always good to have somebody check your math too. Yeah.
When you do it, like, actually, when there's genuine, like, dates, are you supposed to put, like, the 4 dates in?
You can if you want. I've seen it done that way. Most of the time this is just trying to get you in to calculate what we're going to have for float time and what's the latest I can start a project. Or either third event, and the most critical one, just shouldn't use the same word in the definition, is the critical path.
Yeah.
So when we get done, we're going to be able to identify the things that have to be done on time, in line, to get this job done at the end. The rest of it's going to have some wiggle room.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's the other bit we got to work out. But right now, I just want to get you through forward pass, backward pass, then we'll define a critical path, and then we'll start looking at, well, so Kyle's starting, I don't know, I'm going to make you the masons today. But you're the drywall guy. Okay? Well, if he's got half the building done, you can do the drywall, but you don't have to until he's actually done, because I've scheduled him to be completed before you get started.
Mm-hmm.
But you may have a chance to get on the job early.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do that because it speeds things up. Okay? And then there's the other bit is, let's say he takes way too long to do laying the brick, and you got to get in and do the sheetrock. How do I crash the schedule so that I can get you started on time without getting him? So I may have to take part of his work, get it extra manpower to get finished, or realize this is finished and I can let you in there early. And then try to get everything back on the schedule. All right, so now here's where the fun comes in. This one has F's followed by H and G. Okay, right? Make sure that's right. F is followed by H and G. Yep. Okay. So which G is going to be for early start? Seven. Okay, what's H going to be for an early start? He says 7 again. He wasn't here much. Do you trust him? You won't. Isaac, what number do you think? So whatever the late or the early finishes of the predecessor, it becomes the early start of its subordinate. So in this case, H is what? Kennedy, help him out. I got a raised eyebrow. I know you're thinking about it. That's the fun thing about teaching a computer lab. You never get to actually see a real face. I think I'm mad about his hat. But. So what do we got, folks? Brian? 7. Why? Y'all should be asking yourself why right now, too. Trying to get you to repeat what I just said. The early finish of the predecessor is the early start for the subordinate. Okay? We pass the dates forward. Pass the date forward. Hence the term pass forward. Everybody good with me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Keep it up.
All right. So, and by the way, this is recorded again, and I will try to get them up so you can actually see it. So this is a 7. All right, what's our duration for H? I think it was 3. Which G? 2. Okay. All right, so what is the early finish of H?
10.
3 plus 2, or 7 plus 3 is 10.
Yeah. Well, you said that in the question or something.
Well, I know, but you acted like you weren't 100% sure. Okay, what is G's? 9. Everybody good with that? Okay. Now, we didn't do anything with D down here. Can we do something with D? Yeah. We know the duration, which was 4. and we come back here, and its early start's going to be 6. Okay. And then its late finish or late start, early finish, thank you, is going to be 10, right? Gage, you good?
I'm just trying to get done.
Okay. All right, so passing on to the next group. Okay. So H is followed by K, G is followed by J, D is followed by I, H, J, and I are all followed by K. Okay. So let's get some durations in here. So J is 4, I is 2, and then K is 10. Okay. All right. So give you guys a chance before I fill them out. Do the early starts for J, I, and don't do K yet. Nina's missing, isn't she? That's who's... Yeah. Noah, you got a number? Whichever one you want to play with first.
I was confused though, for sure.
I is preceded by D, yes. I is preceded by D and G.
J is preceded by T and J.
Oh, wait a minute. Did I miss an arrow here? And all my... No, L is preceded by D and G.
L is preceded
I is preceded by D. G is preceded by F. J is preceded by D and G. There's an arrow missing, isn't there? Cool. That does make a difference in the world. So let's do this. Okay. Cool. I get that right? So E is preceded by D. Yep. I is preceded by D. Yep. And J is preceded by D.
Wait, this is like you scroll down to what's under D. The R.
R is way over here. We haven't dealt with R yet.
That's what I was making sure I had it.
Okay. Now, what do you got, Noah? Early start for J will be 10. Everybody agree? How'd you choose the logic for it? Perfect. Okay, everybody see that? You can't start that one until the one that's preceding it is actually finished. And if there's two predecessors, you got to go with the longest time. Okay? What it's going to do for us, it gives us a little bit of room with G to float by a week, one way or the other. So right now our early start here is 10, and then we got 14, right? What about I? It's 10 also, and then 12. Okay, as long as we're down here and having some fun, let's put in E. So it's 10. What's the duration on E?
6.
By the way, these were, if I'm not mistaken, this whole thing was in days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes these numbers look really wonky. Not not Wonka Chocolate Factory weird, but Matt, Ryan, you guys good back there? Trinity, so far so good? Cedric? Seth? Dan? Not sure what you. He was just cutting something, cut and paste. All right. So the other thing, by the way, just for housekeeping, and this is something I did when I was working on yours, Matt, was housekeeping. I like to keep all the predecessors in the row ahead of those that are following. Okay? So I do, not a row, a column. So try to put them in sequentially down there so you can get a better visual. It's fine as long as you know what you're doing, but remember we're writing this up for somebody else to read our stuff. Okay, so let's go back to K. So K, now we can choose an early start for K. Jackson?
Yes.
Got a number?
For which one, K?
For K.
Where's
You got a choice between 10, 14, or 12.
Take a whopping guess at 14.
14. Anybody disagree with his wild guess? And by the way, that is just about the way an exam question goes. What is the early start with these predecessors with this information? I'm not going to make you do the whole thing out. But you may get yourself into like multiple things of these and drive you nuts. But just practice is a good thing with this one. Okay, so we're going to go with 14 because Jackson feels pretty confident. I haven't come across your jersey number yet, have I?
You have not. Your number is 54.
Oh, we won't get that high. I don't think. No, we didn't get that high today. All right. So as long as we're down here, we're in P. What's P's predecessor? Or P's predecessor is E, and P's duration is 2 days. Okay. So that has a predecessor of 16. So that means it's, whoop, not 118, 18. Okay. All right, K, to finish K, it's going to be what? 24. Okay. So far, so good. All right. So L is all by itself, so it becomes 24. Duration of L is 3. So 24 and 3 is 27. Bingo. Okay. Now Q follows P, so Q is going to be 18. The duration on Q is
1.
It is. I forgot about that one. So that's 19. Everybody good? Everybody caught up? Anybody lost?
Catching up.
What's that, Jackson?
So I'm catching up.
You're catching up. All one thing? We're gonna fix it. Just do a little more here so you know where you Okay, so now comes the fun again, because L has three subs. Yeah, I'll spit that word out later. Three children below it. Successor, thank you. Okay, so M, N, and O, what's their early starts? 27. Okay, I thought I heard 26, and that's why I was. Okay, so durations on M. 1. Duration on N. 2. Duration on O. Oh, crap. Thank you. I thought I saw it there. Click. 3. All right, so what's O's time now? 30 days. We're 29 here, and we're 28 up here. Okay. Now T has a duration of 3. And which date are you going to pick, Seth? You sure? This isn't like survey. If you get this wrong.
I know the definition of the
What'd you pick, Seth?
longest one.
The longest one, which is? N. So 29. Okay. And actually, I didn't do this earlier. Okay. So T is going to be what now? 32. Cool. And we're moving forward here. U has a duration of 1. Yep. S's duration is 2. Okay, so what becomes U's? That one's 32. But now look what we get here with S. So S is preceded by, and don't ask me why they did this. S is preceded by O and T. And I kept looking at that stupid thing. They made a mistake. It's O and L or something. And I finally got a magnifying glass out. It's T. Does everybody see that same way I do, or did I do something wrong? Well, welcome to
old age.
how many copies of things did this get reproduced from and didn't get straight? I'm going to go with T. Okay. So literally we got a 32 here because it's got to be the longer of the two dates. Okay. So that makes this one 34. This one's 33. And now we got a problem because we start running back down this row. So we got to come back here and finish some of the bottom. You guys with me? So I'm sliding back to the left. All right. So we didn't play with R at all yet. And R has a duration of 1, which makes you wonder why it's even a task. And its early start is 6. So 7 becomes its early finish. We come all the way over here, we got a 7 or a 19. 19. Thank you for the confidence. Say it with pride. All right. And V has what for a duration? 2, 2, 2, 2. So that makes this 21. Okay. So W can start on day 21. Duration on W is 5. So that makes it 26, right? Okay. Now we are back to the left, or the right, I mean, and the longest time before we can start X is 34, right? Duration on X happens to be 0 because it's the end, which is really stupid they did this. And then whatever the early finish is on your last activity, it's always your late finish also. Okay? So it's 34, not 364. Okay? And we go back 34. Okay? I just started backward pass. I did the easy. Really did. We're going to go back through each activity and pass all the way back to the beginning to figure out what the late start could be on activity A. Okay? But we now know for definitive it's going to take 34 days to do this project. Okay? Make sense? Okay. So now when I go backwards, I got to go from X carries back to the late finish for U, S, and W. And it's always the longest number. So 34 is going back here into here. This one is 34. And this one is 34. Okay? Now, what it does tell me, right at this moment, that I'm pretty sure that S and X are going to be in my critical path because there's no extra day in there. Okay? But I got an extra day in U, so that's not critical. I can fudge that around. And W, I actually have a lot of extra days. So we're literally 8 days we can play with there. Okay? So that's not critical. But S is. Okay, so let's work S back. So 34 minus 2. Oh, by the way, so hold on. Next page, please. So this section right here, late start of inspection as late finish of 14 days duration, it gives me 12. Okay, I don't really like that. I didn't bring a marker with me today, but write this down. For forward pass, EF is equal to ES plus duration. EF, actually I can type it in someplace here. I'll type it right here. EF equals ES plus duration. Okay? Okay, so those are the two equations you play with to do this. If you're ever confused and lost. Okay. Cool. All right, so what's my late start for you? 33. Late start for S? 32. And for W? 29. Again, do you see a critical path forming up here? Okay. So if I can't start, or I can't have a late start off my early start, I probably still have a critical path. Okay. All right, coming back to the left by a column or two. All right, so when I go to pick T's late finish, it's going to be what number? 33, the longest one. Okay. All right, and my back here will be 30 for my late start. Okay. This one happens to be 29. Pass it back, and it's going to be 27. Okay. This one just happens to be 32. This will be 30 or 29 again. And then this one happens to be 30. And that makes this one 28.
Hold up. What is W? The interstate for?
34, 29. 29 passes back.
So use the biggest number.
Biggest number.
There's two.
Right, so that's why U was 33, that went to T. Even though T went down and shared with S. Buddy with me so far? And you can holler at me all you want, Kyle. I'm not trying to rush through this. Nina, you good?
How can you late finish T at 33? If S needs to be 32.
Now, there's a good question, which is probably where that is in the wrong place.
That's why I'm confused
I
with the bigger
questioned whether S really followed T.
That's why I'm confused with the bigger number.
Yeah, that was, so T should have followed S. And that would have changed the whole set of numbers. Who's got, no, Ryan, you got, that up on your big screen, right? Work breakdown. S as a predecessor of O and T. Right. But it's screwed up. Yeah, it is as screwed up as they can get. Yeah, but number-wise, you can't take well, okay. This is going to sound really bad. There's no way to fix this without violating a rule, but the rule is that I'm not going to violate it. You can't start something until the other activity is finished. And you can't start S if T is still got a week to play. So T's got to be a critical path, but it may not be the critical path. Okay? So I'm going to put 32 in there, but only from sheer frustration at not working. So that makes this one 29. Okay? And that makes this one 29. And that makes this one 27. Okay. So let's go ahead and play with them. We got 29, and that makes us 28.
Okay. 29, 27, 32, 3 is 29. We're good. V's good so far. Everybody with me? Okay. Sliding back to the right. So 27 becomes Q's, and it also becomes R's. So R's late start is 26. It's pretty funny considering it starts right after we begin A. Okay. Alright, so sliding back to the right a little bit. Okay, so Q has a late start of 26, and we carry 26 back over to P. This becomes 24. Everybody so far caught up, got your numbers? Alright, now let's go up and play with this stuff up above here. So this one has got to be 29, 27, 28. So 29. Okay. 29 minus 3 is 26. 26 carries over to here. This becomes 16. And we're so far so good. Okay. So 16 goes into I, J, and H. Okay, so I, late start is 14, and J's is 12. H becomes 13. So this is 12. Now we got to figure out E's. So 24 minus 6 makes us 28. No, 18. 18. 18, 14, 12. 18 becomes D's.
Yeah, wouldn't it be 12? I'm not backwards.
No, the subtracting.
You're subtracting, so
18 minus 4. Oh,
which one you guys on?
I'm just confused. I'm lost.
It's the biggest number.
never mind.
That proceeds it backwards. I guess. I don't know why it's the biggest number. I think it should be the smallest number.
Why is it what?
I don't know why it's the biggest number. I think it should be the smallest one, but. So I feel like if you do the biggest number, then R is 26, going back to C. So that means you can start C 22 days late.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't, then you can't start F before 22 days. And D 22 days late. I don't like this way of scheduling, I'm gonna be brutally honest. It's not working with it. So we can start the whole project 18 days late.
Okay, am I doing something horribly wrong here? Because it's possible.
I don't know what's the biggest. I feel like it should be the smallest number. It makes sense going backwards. It makes a critical path. What do you mean by the smallest number? Like the start date? Like the late or the early.
So the late start.
Yeah, late start. Should be the early finish. Should be the late finish of the one before it, the smallest But I mean,
Hold on, let me go get,
and then it says we start the whole project 18 days late. This will be on time somehow. It's like a mixed. It just really makes sense to me.
cancel that. Why can't I find my other notebooks? More notebooks. I want last year's. Okay, let's see if I did this wrong compared to what I've done. And collaboration space. Okay, loading, loading. Alright, activities. Can't chart. In class practice 2. No. You know, I didn't leave any dog bones behind for myself. Alright, well let's stop there. I'll go check my math and make sure I'm doing it right. And we'll pick it up on Friday. Actually, what I'll do, because I do still want to give you some homework to practice tonight with this. I'll get this sorted out. I'll put this up with the right answers and an explanation with it. And then you can proceed to do the homework. And then we'll set up another one on Friday to do in class. Okay?
We have
Yeah.
Blackboard.
What's that?
You put the information in Blackboard.
Bright space.
Or bright space.
Yeah. Or dark space, depending on what you prefer, but not Blackboard. We've been hollered enough at about using the word Blackboard.
We used to use Blackboard.
Yeah, I know, we used to. Trust me, if the faculty had their way, they'd all go back to Blackboard.
We'd go back to Blackboard?
Yeah. It was easier to use. But SUNY system thought they should have a standard one across the world.